Hello, everybody. I hope all is well. Al, you talking about the show never starts on time. It was slated. You right, it's late today. Supposed to start at 5:05. Of course, y'all know I'm waiting on Walter to come on here. I was waiting. He said, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. So when he pops up, he pops up. Nevertheless, welcome to the Demetra K Show, where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like to say a big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Not only are you viewers, but you are family, and sometimes we do share the link. All I ask is that if I share the link and I've never seen you on here before and your profile thing looks like this, please make sure that I see your face. And then if you choose, you can go back to that. If you're uncomfortable, just know that no one else can see you but me, not even the other person that is on the panel. Again, if you want to blank it back out, that's fine. You could do so. Also ask that us in the comment section and on the panel that we are respectful as possible, as we know that sometimes we disagree, but it's not that we disagree, it's how we disagree. Of course, y'all know that Donovan is on vacation for 2 weeks. He said that he would be popping on every once in a while. That remains to be seen. But in the meantime, I will try my best to have somebody else up here with me. If not, it's just going to be me by myself. So today we're going to be talking about a man who asked a woman that he may be dating, how would her children be an asset to him? Okay, now I saw this trending. So I thought this would be very interesting, as it is Wealth Wednesdays, and y'all have been asking about Walter. Where's Walter? Where's Walter? Well, there is Walter. Y'all know it. Ain't nothing changed. He gonna be late as usual.
Actually, I can't get onto the link from my computer, so I'm on my phone into my computer. I don't know. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. So nevertheless, let's see. So it's Wealth Wednesdays. We're going to talk about assets and all of that. And I figured this would be a great topic for Walter to discuss. I honestly don't even have an answer to this at all. So I'm going to show y'all the actual video. It's not that long. And the woman's reaction that he was speaking to. But so let's see who came on here. Rashawn, how you doing? He says that she got her answer. It's past time for people to stop being idealistic and realistic. He said her children deserve to be safe and comfortable with whomever mom or dad chooses as a potential mate. They also say if it's his attitude and the infancy of their relationship, he ain't it. Ooh. Black America, how you doing? It says, and a woman's children from another man are useless to any man that is not their father. Okay. Above, beyond, and forever, how you doing? And JJ, what's going on when she says Black America? Okay, so you tend to agree with Black America. Okay, hey, brother Reggie, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. And tell your wife we said hello. One who cares, I hope you are doing well. Thank you for the reminder. Thunder, how are you? Hey, Judge, how you doing? Don't tell me that. Thunder says the weather is starting to get bad. I don't like that. What does that mean? We the people, how you doing, Samaj? I hope you're doing well. He says, if you can police the IRS, why not? Rich people are creative. It's time for poor people to follow, claim whoever you can. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to break that all down. So, yes, y'all see Walter. Hey, M, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Everybody saying, welcome back, Walter. And the average logical thing, how you doing? Says, oh, my God, this topic is going to be ruffle all feathers. I hope not. Lord have mercy. I'm really not trying to do that. Hey, Chalk Chick, how you doing? Long time no see. Kesha, what's going on with you? All right, let's see here. Who else came on here? Del Monte, Green Beans. How you doing? Tisha, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. In South Carolina bred. Gullah how you doing? It says, can you give an insight of the abortion law so I can somewhat understand what the choices are, the right thing to do for what females? Ooh, honestly, just to answer that really quick, it depends on the states as to what they want to do. Of course, federally, the Supreme Court said that it's up to the states to decide that. So that's a loaded question. Oh my God. But anyway, Walter, how are you before we get started with this video? You're good? You're muted. So are you ready to watch this video? Hey, Troy, how you doing? Okay, got you.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. So let's find this video. And again, let's try to have an open mind, as open mind as possible, right? Because let's see, is this it? Okay, here it is.
How are your kids are going to be an asset to me if I was dating you?
I would never date a man that ever asked me no craziness like that.
See,
I would never,
but that's
because
the
you would
problem.
never ask me how my kids would be an asset to you.
That's the thing.
That's insanity.
But see, I'm coming from a logical
No.
standpoint. You
I
have to
don't
ask
think
those questions.
any
And
woman
let me say one more
is
thing.
going to let you say, how can your kids be an... No, no, sweetie. No.
All right. So I want to play that again since it was so short so that we can, make sure that we are getting our own perception of what that means. So here we go once again.
Okay, let me ask you this. How are your kids are going to be an asset to me if I was dating you?
I would never date a man that ever asked me no craziness like that.
See,
I would never,
but
because you would never ask me how my kids would be an asset to you.
That's the thing.
That's insanity.
But see, I'm coming from a logical standpoint. You
I
have
don't
to ask
think
those questions.
any woman
And let me say one more
is
thing.
going to let you say, how can your kids be an... No, no, sweetie. No.
Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Hold on.
I'm sorry. This
I got you. So it was over anyway. Let me go ahead and get rid of this one. Sorry about that, y'all. Walter, his computer. I think he's here. You there? There you go. Okay, so let me remove this. Sorry about that. Whew. And I'm probably freezing up too. Lord have mercy. Walter, you're muted. You're muted.
Oh no, I was saying FJB. I was just practicing my my new theme song. My computer shut down.
Yeah, I'm about to go think since I know that's right. She already came correct. Judge said she could keep them kids. Thunder says, Walter, I caught the NVIDIA stock split, and now Chipotle and Broadcom will have splits soon. Should I jump on these stocks opportunities or not? Let's do it. Let's do this really quick.
No.
Is that something you can answer quickly?
I don't. You know what? I haven't been in the market in a few months. I just feel like it's all overpriced. I'm just waiting for the shit to come down. NVIDIA is a good AI play. If you're gonna buy it, just plan on holding it for a long time.
All right. So, hey, Eunice, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Everybody's saying hello, Walter. Hope you're doing well. So, what's your opinion, Walter? He basically tells her, I want to know how your children are going to be an asset to me. And of course, she was highly upset and offended that he asked her that. Like, what? No woman, basically will date a man that's going to ask how her children are going to be an asset to him. So what's your what do you even think he means by asset? And what do you
I know exactly what he mean. He was right on the money. First of all, dating a woman with kids gives a man zero benefit whatsoever. He has zero to gain. It is a zero-sum game. He is 100% going to be the loser in 100% of the cases. Like, I'm dating a girl right now with a 6-year-old. She's, and she has a 21-year-old. Help me, Jesus. The kids are cool, but they're trying to move into a situation that where somebody's already grown and there's a parent on the other side. And I'm a phenomenal. When I say phenomenal, I'm a pretty good influence to these kids. She got a 6-year-old. I've taught her, I help her with her schoolwork. I taught her how to get ready, get up without her mama. Like, she's independent. Like, she gets dressed, does her hair. Like, she's changed her behavior. She's on. This kid used to be like, what, mom? And now she's like, yes, mom, can I help you? Like, she's, yes, ma'am. No, I mean, this is in a year. But if I decide to leave, I get zero. I don't get to see her grow up. I don't get nothing from it. And she still got a father who, you know what I'm saying? So I get zero from the deal, except I get, a bunch of headaches. And no matter what I do, I'm not going to get to see that grow into fruition ever. And it's always going to be, if, we want to take off, I got to do it on the week that she doesn't have her kids. And that's just having a kid. It's just having a kid. That's part of the deal. Right. And especially, you women out there, if you're in your 40s and you having little kids, you got drama. It is what it is. It's not sexy being 40 with a 6-year-old. It's just not, because it's hard as hell for you to get out and do things. And for a man that his kids are grown, he has to wait for you. And in any moment, that kid could say, you are not my father. So all the stuff that you're putting into those kids, you could be putting into yourself, to your own business. You could be doing something totally else. You can be doing something totally different. So I agree with the dude. There is zero benefit to a man dating a woman with kids. The kids can do nothing for him, period. Because no matter what, he's always going to be on second base. And his resources are going to those kids versus going to his own needs. So, and I wouldn't date a woman like that anyway. She is 100% ratchet. And us as Black people, we need to, I see the brothers starting to step up a little bit and grab a little more control over our female race. But like, we need to do a better job. Her behaving like that is not okay. And most Black women don't behave that way. So I think y'all good ones should really jump on people like that and tell them, hey, that's not acceptable. Just you hurting the group, in my opinion.
So, and let me ask you this, because she was, very, I guess, kind of offended that he asked that. What asset? How are your children going to be an asset to me? Now, admittedly, there's not a whole lot of other context to it that I saw. So maybe it deserved a little bit more of an explanation as to what he was actually referring to. But yeah, she got really upset about that. It's almost like, how dare you even bring my children into the equation?
And first of all, most men don't want to date a woman with kids. They don't. Even the girl I'm seeing, I told her one time I'll just give it to you. One day we were at an amusement park and we were there with the two kids, and I'm at Knott's Berry Farm. You know how I feel about amusement parks. If it ain't Magic Mountain or Disneyland, they have the wine bar and the Star Wars bar. I'm cool with that. Outside of that, I don't want to be on the rides. So we do that, and I'm only there because she wants to take the kids. I hate Knott's Berry Farm. I used to go there when I was in high school. I hate it. But I was there. We spent the whole day together, and then she goes, "Oh, the dad is gonna pick her up." And so I said, "Cool, let's take it to the front." And I just saw her whole demeanor change, and she was like, I could tell she was uncomfortable. And I was like, "Oh, like him seeing all of us together, that's gonna mess with him." And so she was like, "Do you mind just waiting over there?" And because I don't want confrontation. And I was like, one, he should have thought about that when he was banging all those holes and you was finding underwear in your hamper and in your back seat. And so I stepped to the side a little bit, because I was like, let me back out of this. And she came over to me. I said, "This is why I don't date women with kids. And this is why you will be single for the rest of your life if I decide to leave you at this moment." And I went all in. I went, there's zero, I'm not going to sit here with your kids all day and then Busta Rhymes show up and you paranoid because you don't want confrontation. I said, you don't deserve a man like me. You know how many women would love to have a brother taking care of their kids and helping them grow? And I mean, that was a horrible weekend, for her anyways. But back to my point, there's nothing you get from that. Like, I'm trying to think of one thing as a man dating a woman with kids that you would receive.
Well, let me ask you, what would you be wanting to receive if you're thinking from his standpoint of how do your children, how would they be an asset to me? Like, what asset would a man be wanting the children to be?
Them to spend more time with their father. So I can get more. I mean, I'm with the mama, not the kids. You know what I'm saying? That's so.
Okay, wait. All right, now. Oh, y'all know Walter.
I mean,
or
put them to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got two kids in the house. They need to go to work. You know what I'm saying? She got a little 6-year-old. So I'll be teaching her finance. We talk about Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I'm actually teaching her, I'm tutoring her in school. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, an asset would be getting something from that. Hey, work on this spreadsheet. You know what I'm saying? Or like.
So you want to put them to work like little Oompa Loompas?
I'm going to do them like the Mexicans, like, or the Indians or the Chinese. I think are one of the only races that don't put their kids to work. When I was young, we did it. I worked with my father. I try and put my kids to work, but that's even a challenge. Like, what else are kids feared for? Kids are nuts. I love my kids. But whew, if I can meet my kids in a different way and them still be in my life, I would have did it. Even being married and having kids with a woman, you still, for the most part, the man ends up on the short end of the stick anyway. So for men and kids, it's really a loss.
So a judge says, yeah, I ain't got to love your kids. But, from a woman's standpoint, or even if it's from a single father standpoint, he has he's got the children or whatever the case is, and he has a new girlfriend. Wouldn't you want her to care and love for your children? Or are you just interested in her?
You mean her to love my kids?
Yeah.
Hell no. My kids don't need her. My kids are grown, number one. Two, and even if I had a little kid, they got a mama. Unless, well, I was going to say unless she's nuts, but I'm going to leave that subject alone. But like, I've dated women when I had little kids. Like when I dated Laura and Daisy, my kids were little. Even Cleo, my kids, they were involved, but I didn't let them get to the point. I remember Laura doing Morgan's hair one time, and Daisy would buy shit for them, gifts and stuff like that. But I kept it at that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't need that was just fun stuff, letting them be involved, but having them being wrapped up, no way. And I don't think women should do that either. I think if you are a woman and you have kids, your kids should be separate. Do not expect a man to raise your kids. Now, if he wants to be involved, that's his business. But it ain't got to do with him loving you. He loved you, not the kids. Like, I was introduced to my girlfriend. I didn't realize that she had a little kid, until after we had already slept together. And so I was like, oh, you got a what? I didn't want to turn into a 2-night stand. So I just kept seeing her. And then, that was a year ago. So, and you just kind of get sucked into the situation. She's a great girl. The kids are cool too, but at the end of the day, they're not mine. And anytime I spend with them, it's time that I will never get back, and I will never see anything from that. Unless they go to work for me, I can get them to do something that will benefit me and my family. Otherwise, I'm just wasting my time. I could be watching cartoons.
So what I'm hearing is you as a man would rather date a woman with no children or small children. Like you said, all your children are grown.
Well, if I had my way and I was going to redo it, and the kids are cool. I mean, like, there's no diss to the kid. The kid, actually, the 6-year-old is actually pretty smart. She's actually a really good kid. I don't know if you've met her, but really good kids. So, but if I were going to do it again, like if there was she was two of her, I would date the one with the kid. The kids were older, or maybe where they were like 14, 15, so they could be on their own. You know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with a little kid, sometimes kids whine. Like I had to say to her the other day, like her and her mom was in the kitchen. I walked in and say, hey, you know what? You go in the living room. I got it from here. I was like, you don't talk to your mama that way. I will shake you into the middle next week. I joke around with her, but I was like, that ain't how you speak to your parents. That's how you end up, with Joe Biden. So I'll do that once in a while. I'll step in, but at the end of the day, that's still not my role. And that only goes so far. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't like pull out a wooden spoon and be like, pow, that's the end of this conversation. That would be something weird. Be spanking your kid.
So do you think because Legacy Tears, how you doing? It says, bro, you can't reset that. It's a no-go. So do you think that's something that you can correct, or is that something her mom has to do as well? Or like what?
Oh, her mama can't do it. Otherwise she would have did it. And the problem with single moms is a lot of times, especially, they will try and make up for the other person. Right? So they'll let things go. I'll give you a case in point. We were at Miles's house, and the 6-year-old CR said something to Titus because Titus was acting a fool. And then the 6-year-old goes, you can't talk to Titus that way. That's not nice. You're going to hurt his feelings. That's mean. Oh, man, you can hear a pin drop. And so I just kind of looked at the mom, and the mom was just kind of like, she's very opinionated. And so when we got to the house, I go, she need an ass kicking, and you do too. There's no way in hell she speaks to an adult like that. So that behavior has changed. She doesn't do that anymore. That has changed, and that is 100% this negrito. I have made that change, and she will forever be able to take that with her. So you can reset it. But even if I go through all that, what's my incentive to do it? You know what I'm saying? I'm not. She
okay, well, what about the it takes a village standpoint?
It's not my village. You know, I got 6
her mama
kids.
in the village.
No, her mom is not part of my village. I'm not married to her. I could leave her at any moment. I could text her right now and say, you know what, I'm tired of this shit. And that would be, and block her, and that would be the end of it. She's not part of my village. I'm doing her a favor, as if she is me, by giving each other company. And if you think a relationship is more than that, then you lose. You lose in your mind. Because at any day, and women, you guys end 80% of the relationships anyway. Most of the time, the dude don't even understand what's happening. So women, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all be watching those Tyler Perry movies and those Lifetime movies, and you want a better man. You want the cool brother in the suit, the 6'2", that will never cheat on you.
What's wrong with that?
Fantasy Island shit, buddy.
What's wrong with that?
Wait a minute. There's the plane. I see it. So women, and I hear women all the time talking about the shortcomings of their man. And if you talk shit about your man to another man, that is a ticket to hit it. For sure.
Repeat that now.
I said, if you talk shit about your man to another man, that is a ticket to hit it.
So I'm assuming the man that's listening is the one that's supposed to.
Anytime a woman has complained to me about her man, she has opened the door. And it's up to me to decide if I want to walk through it. 100%. Every situation I can think of, a woman is complaining about her man, the door was open. Period. So that's just my opinion. It don't make it fact. But men have a short end of the stick when it comes to dating a woman with kids. There's no benefit for him.
See, for me, because you know, I'm an older woman. I'm not old. I'm just an older woman. And I would be hard pressed to date a man with smaller kids or younger kids. Because for me, I feel I don't have any grandchildren. But I feel like at this age, we probably should be like, you know, having grandchildren. But because my daughter's, you know, so much, she's an adult, right? So dating a man with little kids, you know, look at my hands, dealing with the baby mama drama and all of that. Yeah, I don't think I could sign up for that. You know what I mean? So for me, if that wasn't for me, I wouldn't entertain him at all. I wouldn't say, well, you know, I'm with him. I'm not with the children. I'm with him. I just wouldn't do it at all, because at some point in time, the children are going to enter into the conversation. They're going to enter into the relationship. So I'm just one of those people who don't believe that you can say, well, I'm with you, I'm not with the kids.
Right. Give me one.
Sure. So let me get to some of these comments. Walter ain't, was that Reggie? You said Walter ain't missed a beat. Let's see here. I see y'all going back and forth. Judge says, I played stepdaddy several times. It's a thankless task. Well, and how was it a thankless task? Was it on behalf of the mother or on behalf of the children? And Arniba, how you doing? Says, if I put something in a child's mind and it causes him or her to reach greater heights in this world, I will feel blessed. I agree with you. Sheree says, that's why, Sheree, rather, I'm sorry, I keep mispronouncing it. Say, that's why I never talk mess about my man to anyone. Yeah, I agree with that. You shouldn't do that.
Oh, because here come the coconut oil. Where my candle at? You know, I got a new coconut oil candle. Going down, baby. Anyways, yeah. When a woman starts talking about her man, I just light the coconut candle.
Somebody says, ban Q, Demetria. He says, how can a woman with kids benefit from a man that doesn't have kids of his own? So how can a woman with kids benefit from... Well, for me, because I've had boyfriends, obviously, outside of my daughter's father before. For me personally, I've always made it clear that she has a father. So, like Walter, like you said, you know, with your girlfriend, they have a father, right? So she has a father. So I'm not necessarily looking for you to be her father. But if you're going to be, the man that's in my life, sure, be there. But I'm not looking for a replacement. But I had a stepfather. So I'll just, put that out there. I had a stepfather. And he helped to raise my siblings and I,
And what did he get out of it in return?
Some wonderful stepchildren.
We weren't wonderful to him, and he wasn't wonderful to us. You were nice to him most of the time, except for the time you called him a mean old crab in the back seat.
Now our brother be watching.
You was mean to him.
No, actually, mean to him.
Actually, no, we were actually. No, actually, my mom, my
be out here lying.
No, we were actually. My sister was probably nicer than I was because I was very close to my father. I mean, me and my father were close. I used to tell my mom, I want to go live with my dad. I was that kid, right? So I was close. I was close to both my parents, but I was like, I have a father, and my stepfather had an impossible task of trying to raise kids that already had an active father. You know what I'm saying? Now he decided to get with my mom, and the way they met was, they could have did it differently. I would have did it differently, but they ended up in the situation, and he did the best he could, right? But at the end of the day, they got divorced. Now we kept the relationship with him when they got divorced, which I think was pretty odd, right? I was there when he was in his deathbed, pretty much. I went to go visit him. So, I went to his funeral. I still drive past his grave. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's probably one of the more exceptions. Normally when two people, your mom divorced the stepfather, you don't tend to keep the relationship. So, but even with all that, what did he get from it? I mean, maybe he got a mentor to our little brother. So I think that's what he probably got from it. Somebody to watch over his kid. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he got something from it because he had a kid with her. So maybe that situation is different. Because once you have a kid with a woman, then you're stuck. You guys are stuck anyway.
Walter memory be real skewed sometimes. Really skewed.
I remember we all used to mess with him, but being a stepfather is tough. He gonna be a jerk no matter what, because you have your own way of seeing things and you're used to a certain way.
Well, you think about it but think about it this way. Because I love my stepfather. I called him dad. But
no, he was cool. I mean, he tried. I gotta give it to him. The dude was trying. That's all. He used to coach our games, and he coached my basketball teams. Like the dude, he was there. I'm not knocking him at all. Matter of fact, and I tell the story, he's the reason I went into finance in the first place. So I give him credit every time I talk about how I got into financial services. I was 13, I was beating on the bucket, and my stepfather told me I should be a stockbroker. And that's how I picked my career. You know what I'm saying? So
not do y'all see the difference on that's what a smart woman is for. Because I knew my brother was finna go off somewhere in left field, but then once I brought him back, he's like, oh, yeah, that's true.
But the question is, what did he get from it? Like, I know what I got from the relationship, but what did he get from it?
I think I hear thunder, and I'm like, was it supposed to rain today? That's why I keep looking out the window like, damn, is it gonna rain? What's going on?
Well,
so what he got out of it, as I said, was, wonderful contributions to the world. That's got to mean something right here. I mean, at the very least, we're sitting here talking about him. He's been gone since 2004-ish, something like that. So, I mean.
Yeah, I just see it differently. I think you should give people their flowers while they're alive. Don't name the street after me when I'm dead. Name it so I can drive my black ass down the street and be like, yo, that's my street. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion. And I don't believe in, I'm going to do something better for the world. Really, the world is so jacked up. What could you possibly do to help this place be a better place? In the scheme of things, versus just taking care of you. That's just my thing is to spend more of that time taking care of you. Dating a woman with kids And I told my girlfriend, we got into a heated argument. I said, this is a suicide mission for me. So you might as well put the vest on me. This is a suicide mission. There's no way I come out of this on top. Because there probably will become a day where me and you and go our separate ways. Relationships end. They do. And what do I get from it? Zero. Nada. So that's just the way I feel. And it's the truth. And I think it's the way most men feel. That's why single moms have so much trouble meeting a good dude. And if I was in my, like, sitting here with a panel of my buddies and I was making a decision on the woman that I was going to date, and it was a woman with kids and one without, my panel is going to tell me to date the woman who doesn't have small kids at home, because my chances of success with the woman with older kids is higher. Because I don't have the drama with the daddy and the grandmama and everybody involved. You know, I don't have all these other spinning plates I gotta spin at the same time. It's tough dating a woman with kids. And you remember Cleo? Cleo was, as fine as she was. Cleo, she was a bad man. I couldn't take her nowhere. Cars are running to light poles, but her kid was off the hook. You met him.
I didn't think he was off the hook at all.
Man, he said one time, "You bet." He's knocking on the door. "You better not be in there touching my mama."
Period. Don't be touching my mama.
He was 5 years old. I was like, see, that's an erection killer right there.
And it worked. It worked. Okay?
It sure did, because she closed her legs so fast. But that is tough. It really is. You know, it's a suicide mission. Dating for men is a suicide mission as it is these days. To bring a kid into it.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
It's dangerous.
Because it's not just single women or mothers that have children. It's also men who are single fathers. So should that also apply for a woman that's dating a man with children?
100%. It goes the other way. Like, case in point, I dated Cleo. I dated Laura. I was with Daisy 9 years. You know, I talked to Daisy. She was here. We spoke last week. And she was like, "How are the kids?" And she was like, "I don't know if it's a good idea if I keep a relationship with them." She sent me this, and then she sent me a text message saying the same thing. Like, I don't know what to do. And this is my ex-girlfriend, not my ex-wife, my ex-girlfriend.
Well, she spent a copious amount of time with them too. You know,
that's my point.
Yeah.
Me, her and the kids probably had 100 dinners together. Going place together, them coming over for dinner, spending the night, her playing with the grandkids, like buying them gifts. You know, every time the Christmas or birthday came around, she bought all their gifts. I can't tell you what they got. I didn't know it was in the box until they opened it. Even with all that stuff she did and is involved as we were, she leaves a relationship. What does she get from it? My kids are better off for it. But she doesn't get anything from it unless she believes in that hocus pocus, I made the world a better place. She could care less about making the world a better place. So it goes both ways.
Let me get some of these questions. Thunder says, should you put the woman, her and the kids on your life insurance policy and let them know how much the policy is? I don't think you should put anybody on your policy that you're not married to, but in some cases you should. Like, maybe y'all just don't want to get married, but y'all built things together, then yeah, y'all should put each other on each other's life insurance policy. And yeah, you should let them know. I always say this because this is kind of a myth, and Walter, you can help me out here. See, a lot of times when I don't sell life insurance, Walter doesn't sell it either, so we don't have the ability to do it, but we used to. That was one of the biggest pushbacks. Oh, well, I don't want them to do something to me if if they know I got life insurance and they're the beneficiaries. Like, do you know they the first person that they look for if something happens to you mysteriously? The first person, one of the first people they look at is the beneficiary of the life insurance policy. So if you're taking a life insurance policy out on somebody with thoughts of doing that kind of stuff, just know you're probably going to be suspect number 1, 2, or probably 3. But yeah, they're going to look at you. So what I'm saying is don't focus so much as if I tell them that I have life insurance, they might bump me off because it ain't as easy as, oh, they're dead. Okay, here. They're going to do some investigating of their own. So when you pop something.
Right. Well, I don't know how we got talking about that. The crazy part is I did talk about putting my girl I'm dating on my life insurance, and vice versa. Because and this sometimes I go off into the deep end because I thought if something happens to her, and this is the other thing too, I think where we get caught up. I said to myself, if something happens to her, this can sound really shitty, but it is what it is. I sound like Princess Leia. I'm their only hope. I'm not their only hope, but I'm their best hope. You know what I'm saying? Like if something happens to the mom, I see where they would end up, and they would go backwards. Let me put it that way. You know, the girl I'm dating right now happens to be Mexican, so I'm gonna let y'all have fun with that part. But I know if something happened to her, the kids would go back in the direction that she didn't want them to. I know being with me, I'm Americanizing them. I'm teaching them about politics and finance, and we're going to symphonies, museums, and wineries and shit like that. Before they were doing more like third world stuff, and I'll just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? So I think about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And then so she would need to leave me some money. And if I'm involved in the situation too long, something happens to me, it's her life. If I'm going to stay that long, does her life, if something happens to me, then what happens to her? So I'm having those, kind of thoughts already. So I'm not like saying completely F those kids.
But the other thing too is, I think anybody that you're taking care of and that will, obviously be affected by your loss. Yeah, I think you should insure them.
I'm not taking care of her. I mean, she makes six figures. She got her own money, but there's a lot that I add to it. I know a loss of me, me disappearing would devastate her and her family based on what I brought to the table. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like, it would be impossible for her to replace what I bring to the table. So that's where the life insurance, I think, would come in. And life insurance is cheap. I mean, shit. For $20 a month, I could leave her $300,000. So
if your husband passes and he has a $500,000 policy, the wife gets $400,000, and an unknown woman gets $100,000. How would you feel about that? I'd be very grateful that he left me $400,000.
Because real talk, if y'all don't have little kids, you could have been the one getting 100. And in most cases, the side chick is the one he really want to be with. Because who risk a relationship to be with somebody that they want to be with less? You know what I'm saying? He's only sticking with the wife because he has to. If he had his way, he would go be with the side chick. 100. Maybe I'm saying too much. So I'd be glad he left you $400,000 in a situation like that. And I don't know. And yet, Judge, I hear what you're saying. A lot of people say that, but you got to ensure your people. I don't care if you're in a situation when someone needs you, you got to have insurance on yourself. It's just, I don't care if you think she is going to kill you. First of all, if you with that kind of woman, you need to make some adjustments. But you got to cover your people. There's no excuse under the planet not to have little kids and people responsible that you're responsible for and not have life insurance. It is unacceptable, especially as Black people, the way that we're struggling and the shit that we're getting ready to go through. We are not in a position to be here and not have life insurance. It is just unacceptable as a race. I think if you are a person and you can get it health-wise and you have an income stream, which is all of us, if you don't have life insurance, we could just push you off into the abyss because that is where you belong if you have kids and you are not taking care of them, period. And life insurance is cheap as hell. It's cheaper than auto insurance, especially in California. Florida, I don't know how Texas. I don't know how y'all afford homeowners insurance in Florida and Texas.
Car insurance.
Jeez. Man, I got an auto insurance quote from a new company. My current insurance is $80. They wanted $400 because of this new California law. Anyways, I digress. Make sure you have life insurance. It's cheap. Don't be a douchebag. If you can get it, because some of us can't get it. Like I can't add more life insurance based on the thing that I'm fighting getting over, whatever you want to call it. But thank God I have a bunch of it already. You know what I'm saying? But like, man, if you life insurance has got to be somebody's got to go first, and you got to get it on your people. Like, my father is 80. So he has a tiny bit, but like in hindsight, I would have gone back 20 years and got a shit ton of insurance on my mom and my dad. My mom passed away, and I know in her heart she would have wanted to leave us a shit ton of money. Like white folks, they leave, and I'm stereotyping. I know it's not all white and black folks, but I hear, like when I used to sit down with my white clients, they would say, I want my kids to be straight at all costs. I don't care. I want them to have everything in the world. And I get a lot of black people in there, I struggle, my kids should have to struggle. And I'm like, dude, your kids don't have to struggle. That is farce. You should leave your kids a shit ton of money and leave them instructions on what to do with it. Period. I was sitting down with one of my buddies, and he was saying his buddy's father left him $250 million.
Is he single?
No, he's not single. Left him the home, the villa in France. And he was like, my father didn't leave me. All he left me was alone.
I mean, I'm like, damn.
It was crazy to me. And so I don't get it. I don't get why there's such a discrepancy. You want to fill the wealth gap? Get life insurance on every black person you know. And don't leave it to the church. Don't leave it to them suckers. Leave it to a human being that you care about. Not TD Twerking Jakes or homeboy I saw on the news, the black dude that stepped down because he got some saying he can't discuss publicly.
He was probably tricking.
Why'd you do it in the first place? Man, y'all, these church people be wearing me out, man. Y'all, what we need to get is some heathens up in there. We need to get Snoop Dogg and start a church. At least he would be more transparent. I would go to the church of Snoop because I believe the shit he believe. I believe he believed what he said.
Did you see him running the 200 to try out for the Olympic trials?
I must Google that shit when we hang up, though.
It was funny, but he did. I think he did it like 40. Was it 44 seconds or something like that?
Oh shit!
I mean, but think for it, Snoop is 52 and smoke weed every 5 minutes. So damn.
But Snoop is
because of that.
Snoop is the man, though. Snoop has done great things. When you do great things, you can try it all. I mean, listen, I'm not a big fan of Snoop's lifestyle. I don't do weed and like bitches and hoes. Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Like I don't necessarily believe that. So I don't believe in a lot of stuff he preached. But I gotta give it to him hustle wise. I mean, damn. That was fire. Snoop, I mean, I've met Snoop. Like, the dude is actually pretty level-headed. So, when you do great things like that, you can do whatever you want. And then he's hanging out with Martha Stewart. That's the oddest relationship I've ever seen. It just shows you people with money don't care about silly shit. Those are two of the last people I would have ever met.
I like the picture that they put up of them two, and they say, one of these people is a convicted felon.
Hey man, listen. Some of the and Martha Stewart, her crime wasn't. I mean, her crime. I've done shit worse than that in financial services, for sure. Most people in financial services have done way worse than what she did. She just happened to be famous. That was it.
Thunder says, I checked out that artist called Thundercat. I like that bass guitar. When I tell you, I love me some Thundercat. I saw him in concert. He was here. I forget where it was, the White something theater or something like that, but it was amazing. And every chance I get, I would try to see Thundercat. Last couple of times he was here, I wasn't here. I was traveling or doing something else, but absolutely love Thundercat. He's actually on a lot of people's stuff. You just don't know it. But once you get used to, listening to him, you're like, that's Thundercat. So
Yeah, Thundercat's a cat who can actually go out and have dinner without 80 million people chasing him because not everybody know who he is. That's how you be famous and rich.
yeah,
So
Thundercat is the man.
yeah, but so so I know we're beating a dead horse, but like men especially, I think I don't know. I feel sorry for single women. I do with kids because it's rough. You got a rough time ahead of you, and it's gonna get worse with the economy. Um, you're a single woman, you got kids. Like I told my girl, I said, stop taking her ass to Disneyland all the time. Stop wasting money. You need to be stacking that money. It's about to get crazy up in here.
And let's talk about that.
I mean, it's about
Last
to go down.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. And, Walter, I don't know if you know, we don't spend a whole lot of time on here like we used to. So we got about another 20, 30 minutes at best. So something I was listening to today, Hooters are starting to close. They closed like a bunch of Hooters. I think a lot of them in the United States, but they said they'll have them overseas and stuff. Of course, y'all know Hooters, where y'all go for the wings. They said that they're closing because they're just not marketable anymore. It's costly and people aren't eating wings as much as they used to, I guess. And of course, we know there's a copious amount of other closings going on. We know that everything is through the roof, whether it's housing, like if we talk about insurance, food. The Fed said they weren't recently, I guess a couple of weeks ago, that they weren't going to slash the interest rates no time soon. I guess they entertained it unless I missed something. They did not. So the interest rates on everything is, still pretty high.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're not. They can't because inflation is worse than the pain we're dealing with. They'd rather have people struggle than have inflation get out of control because then you can't catch it. And then everything is too high in inflation. But inflation, what it does is help the rich and destroy the poor. It wipes the poor out. I'll give you an idea. I was at, and then I'm going to address this comment from Dreads here about black people. Blackberries were $4 at Whole Foods. I went in the other day, they were $7.99. Do you know I put those things down and walked my black ass to the frozen section about some organic frozen ones? I go, who in the heck is paying for these blueberries at $8?
Yeah, $8, wow.
And like, I used to eat lamb chops all the time. You really hear me talk about them anymore. Man, they're almost $30 a pound for a rack of organic lamb chops. I'm like, chicken's starting to look good. I mean, I don't do chicken or pork for obvious reasons, but man. So that's going to hurt poor people. And it's going to get worse.
I thought you was a vegan.
I eat meat sometimes. I mean, I eat lamb because lamb, they don't eat everything. So that's a whole another story. Like if you're going to eat meat, eat grass-fed or lamb. They just eat better. If you're eating pig in 2024, shame on you. Like seriously, come on now, let's be adults, right? So the poor people, and besides, pigs don't sweat and they eat their own doo-doo. Like, come on, y'all. Jesus Christ. Black people, we be killing each other. We're the only people that eat the food that our slave ancestors ate. You think Jewish people and white people and the Slavics are eating the mush that they were forced to eat? Come on, y'all. We got to do better. So, and then I want to address this comment about black people. You guys, black people have been doing financially well for decades and decades and decades. And we did better in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Black women stopped voting for these damn liberals. The 60s is when the destruction of the black dollar started, when you let the government become your husband. I know it wasn't your choice at first, but we need to have the black man back out front and center. Number one. Two, black people make a lot of money. All my friends, I don't know any one of my black friends that struggles financially. Every single one of them make money. They don't make a shit ton of money, but they got their homes, they got a little money saved, they got a little 401k, little pensions. You know what I'm saying? We go out to dinner sometimes, we do stuff. I'm trying to think if I can name two or three brothers that are struggling financially. And I think there's a lot of black people that do well. I see black people in Mercedes, and I drive through neighborhoods, I see black people all over the place. My girlfriend lives in Irvine, the safest city in the country. I see black people all the time. So the narrative that black people are struggling is just not true. Stop listening to Joe Biden. Black people are not struggling in this country financially. We have the skills to go out and make money. Black people will take this phone and turn it into a house. We have incredible skills. We need to stop buying into the narrative that black people struggle. We don't struggle financially. I'm a black man.
And I will, add on to that. So it's not that we struggle financially. Of course, we know that there is a wealth gap. That's just a fact, right?
100%. Right.
So it's not that we struggle financially. It's a lot of times we do misappropriate the funds. As it is said, we see about 1.3, depending on who you ask, $2 trillion in the black community here in America every year. But we give 97% of that away. We don't keep it. And y'all heard it a million times about the dollar, especially in our community, only circulating about 6 hours from what they say. And everybody else's community, like the Asians and the Jews, upwards of 20 to 30 days. Of course, we know that they have a lot more businesses and stuff that'll support them doing that. So I agree with you. We have the money. We just don't keep most of it. Also, we're not more producer oriented than we are consumeristic. So we're more on the consumer side than producers.
Well, that's true. We spend a bunch of money, and I mean, your guest next week. I mean, you guys are going to more of the details. I'm gonna let Terrell go into that subject because he enjoys that subject more than me. But
well, before you go, they've been waiting on him. We've been waiting on him.
I know. Well, he's gonna be there next. He's gonna be there next Wednesday. So it was just a misunderstanding. But like, damn, I'm just gonna say, like, we used to go to these events, these financial events, and I remember, I think he was with me. I'll let him bring it up to you next week. Somebody said to us, "What's the use of having money if nobody knows it?" I'm pretty sure we were together. And we heard that stuff over and over and over and over, trying to get black people to save money. Like, go to these events. We go to financial events, but it wasn't really allowed to talk about money. Or I'd see our so-called black leaders, and I'm going to use that term loosely, like Jesse Jackson did a Wall Street thing, and it was $1,000 to get in. I'm like, damn, dude, $1,000 to get into a help the people financially seminar? Like, the reason black people aren't doing better as a group is at this point in 2024, 100% our fault. 100%. Because there are a lot of black people that do well in this world. They get up earlier, they go to bed a little later, and instead of buying the Gucci shoes and all this stuff all the time, they put the money to work. I mean, yeah, I got a Louis belt, I got a Hermes belt, I got a pair of Prada shoes, sure, but I've had those shoes for a damn near 10 years, and I've never bought another pair of dress shoes since I've spent $600 on those shoes. You know what I'm saying? So you can have nice stuff, but like when you go out, like, and I'm just going, if you go out and you see a bunch of black people at a party, it's going to be Gucci, Louis, not just like Louis, like, you know, like where the LV is tucked away, and have a big ass LV on the L and V on each collar. Like, that shit we need to cut out. It's conspicuous wealth. It screams that you don't have money. And we are number one at doing that. We're not, the reason the black people are struggling right now is that's not a white people issue. It used to be. And the wealth gap was designed, and the wealth gap was mainly created through all the stuff black people went through, and the fact that black people couldn't get real estate loans is humongous. The wealth gap had a lot to do with FHA, because if you bought a home 40 years ago in the worst neighborhood, well, not the worst, but in a neighborhood 40 years ago, you still have it in the family, you have wealth. The problem is, we as black people believe that we buy into the Joe Biden shit, that we cannot do it without their help. So you have, like I had this person in LA, she's in a $2 million house, just her and her son. And we talked a year about her doing something with that house, doing a reverse mortgage and buying 2 or 3 smaller properties to rent out so her and her son could just live off those rents and let the bank take care of everything for her. She was like, oh no, baby, I don't know. I got to pray. I said, first of all, Jesus ain't upstairs giving mortgage advice. Black people, stop leaning on the Lord for financial advice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the whole story about the talents, but I'm sure he was pretty irritated about the dude that brought back the same talent. I don't even know how true that story is.
And
I know
it's I guess a allegory or fable, but it is in the Bible. Basically, he gave 3 men talents. He gave, 1 5, other 3, and then 1 2 1 or something like that. And he says, go out and basically multiply and come back. So 2 came back and they multiplied, and he said, basically, good job, this, that, and the other. And the 1 came back, says, well, I didn't multiply. And he said, why? He says, oh, well, I didn't want to, waste your money, basically, right? So the talent would be the principal and whatever the case. So I didn't want to waste your money. And I figured it'd just be safe to bring back what you gave me. And he was admonished because it was like, that's not what I told you to do. I told you to go out there and, multiply, be fruitful, basically have faith, take risks, and do something other than what you've been doing. So talents, go do something with what you've been given.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Use the talents that you have been God given. Like and I'm actually, it's funny, on this text message back and forth with you, next week's guest. But it's funny, he just brought up something to me, and I'm going to touch on it because I'm going to let him address it more next week. But Black people, and I'm not going to say this as well, but we have our kids start over and over and over. And I think we need to stop doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Explain
I know
that.
I have to say, huh?
Explain that. How do we have our children start over and over?
Like they start over financially. Like we die, we don't leave our kids anything.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know other races force their kids to work in the business. And I know each one of my kids have spent time working with me, and I've tried to force them to work with me, and I'm still working on them. Every time we talk, I'm like, hey, you know what? This is still an option. And I know they got their mama and the wild shit over there. So Lord have mercy. Anyways, let me be quiet on that. But our job is to get them, give them something. Like my son Miles is in banking, and he's now getting his MBA at USC. And I know that's 100% me forcing him to go to work with me. And as a financial planner, I taught him the ropes. I had him come work with me as a financial planner. Now he's looking at making $200,000-300,000, at a bank. So that's what I'm talking about. Now he's making more money than I am, or he will be. So that's what you're supposed to be doing with our kids. And I think if more Black people did that, I don't care if you are a plumber. Matter of fact, and plumbers make money. Plumber come over, it's $200-300. And damn well he knew the answer over the phone. He came over here, shake it. That'll be $300. Plumbers make money. If you can teach your kid, my neighbor's teaching his kid HVAC or HVAC or AC and heating. Do you know my AC went out the other day? It was a little switch they put in, $600. I was like, man, y'all was in there 15 minutes. He goes, yeah, that's $600. You know what I'm saying? So teach them whatever it is. If you are a bus driver, teach your kid how to drive a bus. Bus drivers get pensions, they get 401ks, they have access. You know what I'm saying? They meet everybody. And if you taking a route, you talk to your bus driver all the time. Your bus driver is like the barbershop guy. He knows everything about everybody. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is, teach your kid that. Black people, get your kids off of Netflix and television. The Black shit that is on TV, I will not let my kids watch. I will not watch. And it's sad to me that our Black TV shows are so nasty. It's to the point where I'm like I watched, the girl I was seeing was watching, what's that movie with Tiffany Haddish? Girls Trip. And I said to her, You watching shit like that will end our relationship. I will not date a woman that watches shit like that. Period. That is nasty. If I hear a girl talk about sucking thangalangs in 20 different ways, I'm like, come on now, seriously. Black television has gotten to the point where it's sucking dangalang and doing this and popping coochie and the preacher sleeping with it. It's like, come on, y'all, we have to do better. Period. We are doing it to ourselves. That's Terrell inside the drop. That's his company. I'm coming means he's coming on the show.
We waiting. You stood us up.
Yeah, well, that's a whole. Anyways, next week y'all can work that part out. So we have to control what we put in front of our faces. You know, you guys, black television, I think, was created by the powers that be, if that's what you want to call them. The best way to destroy a race is to put shit in front of them that's going to destroy him. There's no way in hell. I would never, ever, 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 like Mixmaster Scratch ever get married again. Not to a woman on this planet. And as a woman to a man either.
You said you'll never get married again?
Ever. And as I'm speaking as a man and I'm speaking as a woman too. The relationship world has been destroyed.
How are you speaking as a woman?
No, what I'm saying is if I was a woman, I would say this, oh no, I'm not about to do no Kris Jenner shit. What I'm saying is, and that's the other problem. I don't know why black people are holding on to this transgender ABC, EFG shit. There's nothing wrong with being gay and lesbian. I don't have a problem with that.
Trying to get us in big trouble today.
Listen, it's just my opinion. That's all. We black people need to stick to the issues, economics, and do for self. I hear people say we need to collectively do stuff together. I don't believe that. I believe you in your house, collectively in your house, you get your stuff together and your neighbor get their stuff together. And if you both happen to be black, then you get together and you kill Barney. You get this money. But us black people putting money together and trying to do stuff is suicide for black people. We cannot do it. I've tried it. Your guest next week has tried it. It took me from making 300 grand and having hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank to sleeping on your couch, trying to get together and collectively help Negroes. It is the worst financial mistake I've ever made in my life, trying to help black people get together collectively. We're too destroyed and broken to get together and do stuff together. We need to do for self, like Jay-Z is doing, and then we help the group. You think LeBron James can do what he's doing if he would have tried to get everybody to pass the ball and shoot together? No, he got good at what he was doing, and then he's able to go out and build schools, blah, 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 blah. So I think we need to focus. We need to be greedy. We need to take care of ourselves. And until we do that, black people, and you think I'm joking about what's getting ready to come down the pike, think about this for a second. We have 20 illegal immigrants in this country.
How many?
20 that we can count on.
Well, you said 20 illegal immigrants?
20 million.
Oh, okay, got you.
20 million. Those are black jobs. It just is what it is. Black people, we've done a shitty job of getting our kids into the workforce, and so they have those jobs down there with the immigrants. They do. And so when you have 20 million immigrants come over and you add AI and all this other stuff, it's the black kids that are going to suffer. And you see them in the streets all the time. You do. Smoking weed, hanging out together. Like, dude, I don't know how you have time to be just chilling and smoking weed during the day and hanging out. I don't get that. And we've done that to ourselves. So we need to address and fix that. And you start by going into your household and you correcting it, not trying to help all black people. I don't hear white people talking about that shit. Jews, I think Jews do it. They just do it for whatever reason. I think they just got a pact or oath. I don't understand how they do it. You know, I think other races, Chinese, they just tend to maybe just only mess with them. You know, I'm trying to think of Chinese people that I've really done business with. Not very many. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to take care of ourselves and then we regroup. We do it together as a group. Otherwise, it's going to get worse. And its interest rates are 8% in housing. Food is through the roof. My God, I went to switch my auto insurance from Progressive. and the dude quoted me $400 a month with no driving, with no tickets on my Range Rover. He goes, because your car was $70,000 when it was brand new. I said, it ain't $70,000 now. Matter of fact, I'm trying to give it to the bank. He goes, because of that, most insurance companies won't cover you. I go, what are you talking about? So then he goes, you got to get liability. And then in 30 days, we can add full coverage, which means you're uncovered for 30 days. So I went back to Progressive. You understand what I'm saying? But that homeowners insurance, food, and you know who, like for those of you who are trying to find a place to rent, like I know my girl right now, the owners of the house want to rebuild it, and they want to redo it and move in. Right now, she's looking for a house in Irvine, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, $4,000, $4,200. The house she's in right now, the rent, I negotiated it down to like $3,600. But the house, because my son lives down the street, Miles lives around the corner, he's got a smaller house. They just got $4,000 for that little condominium, neighbors on both sides, $4,000, 2 parking spots, $4,000 a month. And you know what the problem is? The home buyers are now in the rental pool. So the guy that was going to put down $100,000 for a house but can't afford the rates and the payment is now using that money to pay rent. He's competing and driving rent costs up. That is happening here in California, and I think it's happening in other places.
Oh yeah, it's happening everywhere.
So if you had to move right now, what do you think about this? If you're in a metropolitan city like New York, LA, or somewhere where there's a lot of people, Houston, and imagine you had to move into a nice neighborhood and you wanted to move into a nicer neighborhood. Like rent is through the roof. Now, my girl, she can move to Santa Ana or Orange or, somewhere where it's not as nice, but she's been living in Irvine. We have parking everywhere. It's the safest city in the country, like years in a row. So trying to move is hell right now. It is like nerve-wracking trying to find a place.
That's true. That's true everywhere. Let me ask you this. I thought it says, do you think AI is a good sector to get in as a career or an investment?
Hell yes, because it's who's going to be running this place. Like, Alexa, how you doing? Check this out. Oh, she said, I'm feeling inspired because I got a new thing to show you. And then some shit popped up. Some woke shit. Alexa, stop. The point I'm making is that is going to be a humanoid one day. Matter of fact, there's a website, I think it's called AI Girlfriend. And there's a company that is selling robotic girlfriends already. They're already selling them. Like they're dudes that have, they're in prototypes, but robots in their kitchen. They can pick up things. They can move. They can lay down. You know what I'm saying? The coconut oil don't crack the skin. Like this is getting weird out here. So AI is going to be the place to be.
And let me interject here. Stephen, hope you're doing well. Sorry to hear about your dog. I was reading the comments. You said that your dog was bit by a rattlesnake. Yikes. Jeez. Yeah, hopefully your dog makes a full recovery. That I know Texas. That's why I don't like to go outside a lot. It has snakes. And I don't like them. Hello, Mission Visions. How you doing? So yes, y'all, that was $3,600 for rent, not mortgage. And yes, Arneva, I think he has $400 for full coverage. Yes, $400 for full coverage.
And $3,600 is that. I was able to negotiate that only because I had her pay the whole rent up front for the whole year, and I was able to negotiate some things. That's it. That was all. But now to get that same house exactly is going to cost her minimum of $4,000.
That is insane. I mean, what does it look like to buy at this point? I mean, I know the average real house to buy in California is about $700 and something thousand.
Yeah, the house. So the house she's living in now, and occasionally I say we because I spend 90% of my time over there. Because I rent out, you see my guests walking around. I rent this place out. I come here for work, but the house is valued at $1.3 million is what the house is worth right now. If the landlord was to sell it, because the house next to us sold for $1,030,000, and it is 40% smaller and has one less room. And we are across the street from the jacuzzi, the pool, have unlimited parking front and back. The house is worth 1.3. To buy that house would cost $9,000 a month. 100%. So renting it at $4,000 is still based on trying to be in a nice place where you have parking and it's hard to move from a nice place. It just is. So
and Damon, you're right. The interest rates are off the charts, and that's part of it. Especially if you live in somewhere like Texas, it's not only the interest rates, but it's the taxes. I think Texas has the highest property taxes in the nation. So yeah, the houses on the front end, I guess, it's cheap. You can find stuff for $250, but then everything else tacked on to it is like yikes.
But yeah, you know what's happening even in Texas. Texas is getting killed right now in real estate. Like Texas is about to go through it. Austin, if you bought a house in Austin 2 years ago, kiss the cracker. It is over for you. Like
that's what they're saying. They're already saying that the Austin real estate market it's starting to tank. You can see it around here. Certain places in Houston, there's houses for sale everywhere in all types of neighborhoods. It's crazy. And I'm wondering, why are these people putting their houses up for sale? Like, are they seeing? Because we know, especially like a couple of years ago, people bought those houses and they were super inflated, right?
You couldn't even buy one because it was. I remember driving around trying to buy houses in Texas. It was like 20 people showed up.
Yep.
Not no more. Like and who's really making it worse is the government, because what they're doing in Texas is taking that inflated price of the house and then reassessing the property taxes to the inflated price of the house, even though the value of the house has come down. That is your government at work. And the homeowners insurance. And I'm telling you, it's about to get really nasty. What I'm doing, this is a financial show, is I'm currently looking for a small piece of land somewhere in California. I don't know where in the hell I'm gonna find it, but I found a company that will build me a house for $36,000. It's a container home. It's 40 by 8, so it's basically the size of my downstairs times 2, because my house is 16 across and 40 wide. So from my living room, from my kitchen to my patio is 40 feet, and then it's 16 across. So half of that one shipping container is $36,000. That's bathroom, sink, kitchen, everything. Shipping container dropped off on your foundation, $36,000 for a house. 2 shipping containers. It's I think you said somewhere, because once they put 2 together, they're still working on the same place. So it's like $55,000 for basically 640 square feet, which is where I spend when I'm here 95% of my time when I'm awake. So the point I'm making is, wouldn't it make sense to just get a piece of property and put something on it? Like, you live in Texas or Louisiana, where you could buy land everywhere, and you could put for 30, 40 grand, you could put something on it. Imagine this, just having a place to live. Like I told my girl, that's our next move. Assuming that we're together, is a piece of land and getting a little container home, spending 40 grand. It's a wrap. No more mortgage, no more rent. Ditch the car payments. No more car payments. Like, done with that. I called Capital One and was like, yo, you can have this Range Rover. I'm going Donald Trump style. I'm taking the money I make and I'm going to stack every single thing that I can that I'm not putting into my businesses. Because you know who do that? Rich people do that. But they do it in corporations. Donald Trump has filed bankruptcy, Lord knows how many times.
Let me ask you this. And Crystal, how you doing? It says we might have to start living with a couple of generations in a single dwelling. Have you heard of generational homes? I've heard of them. They said those are becoming more and more popular, prevalent. Multi-generational is you have grandparents, the children, and then their children. And a lot of times what people are doing is they're maybe building on to their home, or they're buying a bigger home so everybody can stay there and, chip in, because they're saying it's just it's unaffordable for people to have their own houses right now. So what do you think of multi-generational homes?
That's a phenomenal idea. My neighbors do it. the kid, the there's a grandpa. So Josh, he's the man of the house. His wife, her father lives in the house. Her son and two daughters live in the house. So they have three generations in that house. Many of my neighbors have generations. My friend Christine, she was here last night. Me and her and Terrell working on some stuff. She's in a house with three generations. So a lot of people do it already. Asians, they do that. It's nothing to walk past an Asian home and see two or three generations in the house. Mexicans too. My girl, her mama, her sister, and her son, the boyfriend, all live in one house. You know who doesn't do that? Black people. We don't do that. Everyone else doing it. I went to look at a house.
Why is that though? Why don't we do that?
I have an idea, but I'm not for sure. I just think we spend too much time being liberal. The stuff that we've been indoctrinated with, that we make ourselves believe. It's crazy how woke and liberal Black people have become, versus saying we need to get together at all costs and make this work. And until we do that, we're going to suffer. I would love to have my kids in a house with me. And one of my plans is to buy land, not a house big enough, but land, because I don't want my kids living with me ever. Because I like to have a drink, and me and my girls sit around, and sometimes, the coconut oil will splash, and I don't want my kids in the house witnessing that. But what I would like to do is have them in their own ADUs.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that at all. Nobody.
My kids are grown. It's my time. But what is smart is having a house and having these little additional dwelling units. You can put a shipping container on your home for your kid, a little suite with the bathroom, kitchen, and bedroom for $36,000. So if you own a piece of land and you have three kids and you can put three of these not little, but shipping containers in your backyard, you're going to be out 120 grand plus foundational work. So let's call it 150 for three places for your kids to live. That means your kids aren't in the house with you, but they're still with you. You guys all share electric bill. Your kids are there. If they need to talk to you, you know how to get a hold of them. You know what I'm saying? They're just right in the backyard, and y'all all got curtains, so you can do what you feel like doing. I think that's a smart way to go. I don't want to live with my kids. Because kids are just not as clean as parents are until they get older.
And I agree with you on the multi-generational thing. Yeah, if you need to do it, and a lot of people are doing it whether they realize that's what it's called or not. They're living under the same roof. But yeah, I think, like you said, ideally would be for kind of everybody have their own spaces. Because I've seen some houses like that here in Houston, like Spring and different places like that, to where they'll have a big giant house and then like next to it, it's a smaller house, or maybe on the back or something like that. So yeah, like you said, it'd probably be ideal to buy some land and maybe build something like that, because that's where we're going. But like a lot of people cannot afford to live by themselves. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. I mean, I even heard a report the other day that said people with six-figure incomes are living check to check.
Oh no, don't get it twisted. I know the girl I'm currently dating is at six figures in income between child support and her income. She does well financially. She is sweating looking for a place to live. You realize if she was going to buy a house right now in California, she couldn't do it. She couldn't afford it. At 100 grand,
who can buy a house? Right. So exactly. So that's what I'm saying. And thinking about and Easy, I saw you say people moving from California to Texas is driving up their the prices, and that's partially true. But just know that people from California are also going back. A lot of people are. But yeah, so living in a place like California, people don't take into account. Okay, so yeah, you got a mortgage, but then you got all the insurances. You might want to eat. Gas is super high. It's probably amongst the highest in the nation.
It is.
So
toll lanes, toll roads are everywhere. They're talking about the 30 cent gas tax. I've heard that. Can't remember where I heard that from. Proposed a 30-cent gas tax.
It was 12, so they're trying to do 30 now.
Per mile. So what happens is all these electric cars, the gas, man, there's electric cars everywhere in California. Every third car is electric or a hybrid. So the gas revenue for California, they're getting murdered on the gas tax. So now they're talking about taxing you for every mile you drive. So that's what happens when you put liberals in power. We just need to divide the pie and push the left off the counter. Lord have mercy. Say what you want. And I'm going to ask, let's switch subjects real quick. I'm going to ask Black people this. Can somebody please tell me what do Black women and some Black men, the Roland Martins and the Stephen A. Smiths, I don't know why he plays the fiddle. I still don't understand where that brother's thinking comes from. What has Donald Trump ever done to Black people? I can never get a straight answer from a Black person. What has he done to Black people? Like, you can say Donald Trump did this to Black people. Because every time I Google an old photo of Donald Trump, he's with a Black dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, trying to find a Donald Trump in his past where Black people ain't around is almost impossible.
Did you see the story that I did about Al Sharpton?
I haven't saw it yet.
I did on the African Diaspora News Channel, and I, basically show, because Al Sharpton is one of his biggest opponents, if you will. He's very outspoken about how horrible Trump is. I'm like, well, was he horrible when he was donating money to your nonprofit? Back in the 80s and 90s, was he horrible then? Because you were taking the money from him. So what's up?
Yeah. Black people, we need better leaders, period. We've been bamboozled. The white man can do nothing to compare to what our so-called Black leaders have done to us. We will never get over the Al Sharptons and Jesus. I see Roland Martin on TV with his big ass and those socks and church shoes and those tight ass shorts on. I'm like, it ain't even Christmas. Why is Frosty the Snowman out? Like, we need better leaders. And we need just to go back to where the Black man that made money, bus driver, financial planner, whatever he did, and just be like, that is our leader. Those are our true leaders. And I see Black men are, and I'm glad you brought that up. I was waiting for that. And I was waiting for that comment. So, but as Black men become more in charge and we become more conservative, because a lot of Black men are saying, hey, I'm going to be more conservative. I'm going to vote, for the party that is actually putting our interest at heart. And that is cash in our pocket. There's nothing more you can do for a Black man is put money in his pocket and teach him what to do with it. And the whole thing about the Central Park Five, I mean, do you have a better answer than that? I mean, so he's put an ad in the paper saying give them the death penalty. There's some people I've heard say that they confessed to it. Now, I don't know if it was coerced. I don't know enough about the Central Park Five.
Let me jump in.
So I didn't watch the show. I don't know anything about the Central Park Five except what I heard.
So of course, for those of y'all who don't know about it, it happened in 1989. It was five, they say Black and brown, because one of them was Puerto Rican boys, teenagers, if you will, were accused of raping a white woman in Central Park. The DA, Linda Feinstein, along with a whole host of other people, Democrats. So remember that I said that they were Democrats as well. They basically trumped up charges, no pun intended, right? Trumped up charges on these kids, sent them up the river for, a long time for something they did not do. They went through a lot of heinous things as they were locked up. And the person that actually did it confessed while in jail or prison. So that's kind of how they went about getting them free. So yes, Donald Trump did take out a full page ad. I forget which newspaper, but a popular one in New York, nevertheless, asking for the death penalty of them. Horrible. And he was wrong, terrible person for that. I'm not one to say that I support Trump, right? So that was horrible. However, The same people that say that Donald Trump did that, they don't give the conversation that it was a Democratic prosecutor, Linda Farenstein, that did that. In addition to, she donated to the campaigns of, I believe it was Biden, Hillary, Obama, Amy Klobuchar, and a whole host of other Democrats. Now, the question is, did they give that money back? And didn't they know what she did to those 5 black and brown boys? Because when did Obama run for president? 2008, right? He was president in 2008. Well, that case happened in 1989. You mean to tell me he didn't know what Linda Farenstein did to those boys? Hillary, Biden, Amy, and all the other Democrats that got money from her as they were campaigning? Why didn't they say, nah, Linda, we heard what you did? But see, this is the other thing. Listen, I'm not excusing Trump for that. But those same people who will bring up that he did that to those black and brown boys never say that, oh, by the way, the lady who donated to our campaign was a Democrat. They never say that they gave the money back or not. I don't know that they have. I just haven't heard that. Other thing that we need to realize too, and again, I'm not making excuses for Trump. Trump had no legislative power. Now, did he influence somebody because he was Trump? I don't know. That's possible. But he did not have the judicial power to do anything. Now, the last time I heard, Trump doubled down saying that, he still believes that they're guilty, even though it's come out that they're not. And they won this big giant lawsuit from the state of New York, paid them like over $40 million because of what happened to them. So I just think it needs to be given a full conversation instead of saying, well, did you hear about what he did? I said about the Central Park Five, like tell all of the story.
Yeah. So you know more about it than me, but even this is the crazy part about this. Black people, we are so I still have not got a good answer, because that's not a good answer of why not to vote for Donald Trump. That's a horrible answer, because the Democrats are notorious for hanging black people. When the Democrats would burn down the church, the Republicans would show up with the water hose. So saying that he wanted the Central Park to get the death penalty, people do that all day on both sides. So I still haven't got an answer. And someone said Donald Trump hasn't done anything for black people. He's done a lot for black people. He's reduced our taxes. As a black business owner and a black person, that's money in your pocket.
Well, and then the other thing too is, listen, and as I say, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm a supporter of telling the whole story. I know as long as y'all follow me, I'm like, let's tell the whole story. Because as I said, the people that talk about that Trump has not done anything for black people, y'all can go and check out the report I did on African Diaspora News Channel with Al Sharpton. He did something for Black Al. He did something for Al's organization where he was helping black children. He donated money to him. So it's like, to say that he's never done anything for black people, I think I get it. A lot of people don't like Trump for a whole host of reasons, and a lot of them are good reasons. But I think we should stop going along with the talking points just because they're there. I think it should behoove us to say, let me see how true that is. Now, when it comes to looking at Trump and Biden, right? What do they always say when it comes to politics? Choose the lesser of two evils, right? Well, if you're logical, and that's the problem with us as black people, is we're not very logical, we're more emotional. So that's how we get you vote blue no matter who, and I don't care, my grandmama. That's how we get all of that. But if you logical and you line up the records of Joe Biden and Trump, then you have to come to the conclusion of the lesser of two evils is that Trump is the lesser of two evils. For one, Joe Biden has been in office in Washington for over 50 years, so he has the legislative record to look at. Trump has only been there 4 years, right? So Biden has done a lot of wrote and championed a lot of legislation that has put a ripple in generations of black people, even to this day, and he has not apologized. He said, I made a mistake. I got bad information. At least.
Yeah. What's the crack law? What are the crack laws?
Well,
if blow me awake, since Hunter Biden is the most famous crack addict. I mean, what? Yeah, yes, I can name And I remember seeing Joe Biden act strong at the Ku Klux Klan's funeral. Didn't he do the eulogy or something like that?
Robert Byrd. Robert Byrd. Robert Byrd was he's actually the head of the Klan in the 1940s, but he since said he's dead now, but after that he said I denounced the Klan, but he was like a grand wizard in the 1940s. Now you think about it, that's not even 100 years ago, and he died, I don't know, maybe 15 plus ish years ago or so. Joe Biden eulogized him and said he was my mentor. Him, James O. Eastland, who basically said that Black people were inferior and we need to be eradicated. These are the people he hung around with and said those are his mentors.
Yeah, so people forget all that stuff, or the crime bill, and like, say what you want about Trump. Obama was there 8 years. He didn't do shit for criminal reform. It was Donald Trump. You got nonviolent offenders in prison, somebody that got caught with some weed or something, and you got them locked up for 15, 20 years. Are you kidding me?
And let me get justice. Judge says Trump has made racism cool again for a lot of those folks. Let me tell you something, and I love you, boo. But racism has never been out of style. It has never been unfashionable, right? Now, did Trump embolden some people? But as I always ask y'all, do you want your racism covert or overt? Overt means it's obvious, right? Covert is undercover. I want to know when I walk into a restaurant that you do not like my black ass, because I don't want you to be covertly behind the counter doing something nefarious to my food, right? So Trump didn't make racism hot again. Racism has always been here. We have just been, as Walter said, that especially under the Democratic talking points, and even Republicans, things are better. Oh, it's not as bad as it used to be. And it's like, really? Because there's a lot of Black people who cannot go into a bank and get a loan on the strength of them being Black. There's a lot of Black people who want to get their house appraised, and because they're Black, it appraises for lower, but they have somebody white come in and say it's their house and it gets appraised for higher, right? So we know that racism has not gone away. But I want to know,
it's never going to go away. It's going to only get worse. Look at woke TV. Look at it. You see race all the time on TV. Now we're mixing it with all kinds of other stuff. I mean, here's what I like about Trump. He's a money dude. He's a shark. I don't care about nothing else. He gave those HBCUs all that money and he made it permanent. I don't hear Black people talking about that. Letting all these nonviolent offenders out, people that don't deserve to be still in jail. Don, I heard Mike Tyson, Judge Joe Brown. I've heard several Black men talk about how Donald Trump came to them, like when they needed help. Like, yo, Donald Trump called me like, hey, what you need? Mike Tyson talks about having dinner at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump and Melania and his son Barron. Like, this is Mike Tyson having dinner with Donald Trump. Like, so all these Black powerful men, I'm talking about men that have done stuff with their life. I don't really hear them going in on Donald Trump like that. They're talking about this dude helped them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, if the dude is bringing the money, which at the end of the day, in my opinion, is the most important thing. Because I don't care what your religion is not going to save you. Because if that was the case, Black people would be the richest people in the world because we spend more time at church than I don't even know.
Willie says, but is it really just about Trump or the Republican Party this guy is reaching? I mean, no party. Listen, y'all, my talking points ain't never going to change because as I tell y'all need to get in these books. I need to study history. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, nobody, whether it's Republican or Democrat, is going to go into the White House and do anything for Black people. We need to do for self at the end of the day. I'm not saying that they don't owe us reparations. They do. We want every dime that they owe us for what our ancestors went through and what we are still going through. But at the end of the day, we still have to accept our own and be ourselves and do for self. See, that's the problem with Black people. We have been taught that it just trusting somebody or it's some people or entities outside of ourselves. As I say, you tell you all the time, my dad said we are descendants of pyramid builders, and we sitting up here waiting for somebody else to do something for us. Our ancestors didn't do that. Our ancestors, when they got off that plantation, they didn't wait for somebody to do something for them. They left with hardly any clothes on their backs, food in their stomach, and shoes on their feet, and they went and built towns. They went and built a town from the ground up. Now, of course, we know what happened to it, but they still did for self because they had nobody else. And I know that we are taught that we can depend on the Democrats. No, we don't. We still are in the same situation that our ancestors were in. We don't have anybody but ourselves to depend on. That's it.
We are worse off. By 1940, 1950, Black people, when white people were at their worst, Black people were at their best. We were moving, and then here come civil rights movements, and no, we got you. You don't need the Black man in the house. Just you need us. I'm telling you. And the one thing, say what you want about Joe Biden or Donald Trump, and really, yeah, they're not the greatest choices. But just look, and I don't believe you're 100% responsible for what your kids do. But damn, like y'all want to talk about Trump's character seriously? Joe Biden's daughter wrote in her diary that she used to take showers with her dad, and she was put in uncomfortable sexual positions. That she felt sexualized by her father. She wrote this in a diary and called the Secret Service to get the diary back, saying that is my diary.
The daughter said that about Joe Biden?
Ashley Biden, if you Google her diary, she talks about taking showers I don't know how old she was, but she was old enough to write it down, taking showers with her father, and that her father put her, she said something about being over sexualized. I don't know all of it.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, damn. The son marries his brother's wife after his brother's dies, and not only marries the wife, gets her addicted to crack cocaine. She said this all in the stand.
And my thing is this too. And listen, I'm not doing any of that because I just feel like, yeah, they should be held responsible for if any of that stuff is true, regardless of who it is. But it's all a distraction. Joe Biden's never going to be in trouble for that. In fact, people don't even listen to the allegations or whatever it is. Trump will probably never go to jail. None of that is going to benefit us as Black people. It's not going to benefit anybody, because they're what you call the 1%. Whether we believe it or not, they have a different set of rules that benefit them. So we all we got.
Yeah, we need to start acting like it. So again, I still haven't got a clear answer from anyone ever about why Donald Trump is hated. And I'm going to use the word it's mainly Black women. Most Black women vote for the Democrats. And I think part of me feels like Black women maybe are used to abuse from the government and just keep accepting it. I mean, during the pandemic, I remember checks were flying. The Trump administration, they were like, we don't need a Social Security number. We don't need no paperwork. Yo, man, if you can fog a mirror, we're going to send you a check. SBA, this loan, this grant, that grant. There was checks all over the place. They were giving people $1,000 a week on unemployment just to say they were self-employed. You telling me this dude is building a wall to keep out your biggest competitor that's here illegally, that those, not just Mexicans, the Africans, the Chinese, everybody coming up through the Mexican border, those jobs are being, those illegals, they setting up shop in front of, so you have the business owner and you have the illegal immigrants that are setting up a street food business right in front of the business that's paid taxes, LLC, dealing with this, the law, the OSHA and all the other crap, all the stuff it takes to run a business. And this cat just crossed the border and he got a taco stand because the government just gave him $10,000 on a credit card. and he got a taco stand in front of the business you broke your neck to open and barely keeping, and you telling me the dude that is saying, take y'all asses back home and get here the right way, that's the dude you don't like? Come on, you guys. I can see, yeah, maybe they're both, they're not the best choices, but you telling me the dude that immigration alone, Donald Trump would have my vote. Because I've been to Mexico. I was in Mexico last week, over there getting from my prostate cancer treatment. And I got, man, it's crazy too, because you can see they have part of the wall. I saw a dude jump over the wall one time, just climb the wall with just a backpack. Like, imagine leaving your house forever with just a backpack. You see what I'm saying? They're doing that to get over here. So I've been to Mexico. I know when I go over there, I'm getting pulled over. I know it's going to be some shit. If you get in trouble as an American, forget about it. You might as well tell your family, I'll see you when I see you. They're breaking their neck to get over here. You're over here in the land of the free, where you can do anything you want that you put your mind to. And the dude that's building the wall so you have a better shot in life, you don't like him because you think he wanted to see the Central Park 5 given the death penalty. How many people do that to black kids all day? Black kids in jail for silly shit. You did cocaine and did crack. You got caught with cocaine. You got a slap. You got caught with doing crack. You end up in jail. It's still the same damn thing.
And I will say this too, Common Man. You made a good point earlier about the Central Park 5. Not that it's right, but like you said, a lot of people thought that they did it because, like you said, there was a lot of coercion going on. Some of them, said they did it when they clearly didn't do it. And again, it's not an excuse. Obviously, looking back, and Ava DuVernay, she did a marvelous job of When They See Us. She blocked me on Twitter, by the way, but she did a marvelous job of. To me, it was an indictment of law enforcement and the prosecution and all that of what they did to those boys. She did a great job. It was hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie, it was very hard to watch at times. But she wanted the truth to be told. But a job was done on those boys. They were put on the hook for something they absolutely did not do. And Linda and all the other prosecutors, they knew they didn't do it, but they wanted to satisfy the bloodthirst, if you will, of the public, just to say we got somebody, right? Very sad situation all around.
It's a score that keeps score. Anytime you go to court, their job is to get a conviction. It doesn't matter. Their job, it's a game. You have the prosecution and you have the defendant. The prosecution, they have so many convictions. They need to raise so much money in fees and fines. I remember going to court for something. They had me on videotape, not doing what I was accused of. Like, literally, I was jumping this wall, we were thinking about taking over this nightclub, me and my buddy, years ago. And I was approached by this prostitute, and they were like, "Oh, you're trying to solicit?" The lady, who was defending me, showed me the tape. Let me listen to the audio. It was clear that I was hopping the fence. Shouldn't have been doing that. Even with all that, she goes, "They want you to take a plea for something in public," because I was being disorderly, like by hopping the fence or trying to get to this nightclub. So they still wanted a conviction, even though what they charged me with was out the window. They just want a conviction. And I've been to court more than I'd like to admit. And you go there and their job, if you don't have real representation and a lot of money, they'll just wear you down. There are a lot of people taking pleas just to be done with it. And I understand these kids sometimes. If you're in a situation, you're like, you know what? I'll just take the plea and be done with this shit so I can get my life back. You know what I'm saying? So I do understand the position they're coming from. And I know there's a lot of people in jail that didn't do it. But you know who's more responsible for that? Not Donald Trump. Donald Trump has only been a politician 4 years. How many black men did Donald Trump put in jail? As a black man, you have a better chance of getting pardoned by Donald Trump because he's the kind of cat that would do that. You call him a thug and a criminal businessman. Who else? Who do you think is running this world? but at least he's transparent.
And,
He's a thug up front.
I've always said this about Trump, and like I said, I just look at things, just from different points of views. I think that is Donald Trump racist to some degree? Yeah, I think he is. But is he racist to what they're saying that he is? I don't think so. I think Trump is a salesman at the end of the day, and I think people forget that. Y'all might remember he went on Oprah, I think it was in the 90s or something, where he said, y'all know Donald Trump used to be a lifelong Democrat up until he ran for president. And he said, do you know, he told Oprah that I can, he says, I can run as a Republican and probably win. And that's exactly what he did. So I would say to the MAGA crowd too, y'all can do this well. Donald Trump is an opportunist. He's like, I know what these white folks want in this MAGA crowd. They feel like they're being replaced. I'm sorry for freezing up, but they feel like we're being replaced. And so he's probably like, well, let me be their spokesperson. Let me speak up on their behalf and let them know somebody's here to help you and all that. Because again, he's an opportunist. He did co-write The Art of the Deal, right? But the other thing is you have to study history. And that's what we forget a lot. Donald Trump piled around with black people. Almost every damn rapper you can think of, especially in the 90s and the 80s, Donald Trump, let me in now. Everybody was all wrapped up into, being like Donald Trump. But now all of a sudden, he's this boogeyman. It's like, and this is what I would say to you rappers. This is again where you need to learn history. Well, how do y'all know how that parental guidance sticker came about on the records? That came about from Tipper Gore, who was the wife of Al Gore, the vice president under Bill Clinton. You know why?
Sure it was. That was the 80s. I did a report on that in school on Tipper Gore.
She did not like the vulgarity that was coming out from the music, specifically that of 2 Live Crew. That's when they all went to court and, they were fighting for the freedom, basically. She was trying to have them locked up and, have rap censored and stuff. And that's where they came to the compromise of the parental guidance sticker. So I say all that to say that wasn't Republicans that was doing that. Now, I know they're the family values parties, but that was the Democrats that was doing that. You know why they was doing that? Because their kids in suburbia were starting to listen to the 2 Live Crew. See, it's all right when it was in your neighborhood, but when it started to go into the ear holes of their children, that's when they have a problem. But the other thing, though, is Tipper Gore didn't have a problem with when Hillary, Bill, and the rest of them, Joe Biden, because he was there in the Senate, they didn't have a problem when they was locking your black children up, when they was calling them predators and they were being made to heal and all that, making those 3 strikes laws and those crime bills. She didn't have a problem with none of that. She had a problem when the music was getting in her children's ears.
Yeah, when they start popping it. You want to meet a white woman? Go to see Lil Wayne. You guaranteed to go home with a white woman. So yeah, listen, you guys. At the end of the day, you need to figure out what it is you need the most. For me, it's cash. Give me money. Get those immigrants, illegal ones, out of here. I don't care if they're from Mexico, Africa, China. Get them out of here. You cannot go into England. I was talking to a friend of mine. Her husband is trying to move to England with his new chick. He cannot take her to England until he marries her. Like, you're not getting into France and just rolling up and them having you a gift card and saying, hey, we're going to kick the poor kids out of school and y'all can go live there. You're not going to France and doing that, or Spain. You know where else you can't do that? Mexico. You can't go into Mexico and say, oh, we posting up. You going to cut us. Man, let me tell you something. You will be done. So for whatever reason, we take somebody, and here's why I like Donald Trump. He's in your face. I hated what he said about, some of the stuff he made, but I've heard politicians say worse. I had dinner with Maxine Waters, me and Terrell, your next week's guest. And I'm like, man, these really $5,000 a happy on an after dinner? Come on. And the stuff that comes out of their mouth, the dude we was with, Maxine, the guy that introduced us to Maxine, like the black man, black dollars, we got to protect the black race and protect our dollars, had a side chick. And sometimes she would show up. You know what I'm like? So, anyways, and I do want to remind you, Maxine Waters is a Democrat, and while she's on the finance committee, I have no idea she reps one of the poorest districts in the world. But Black people, we keep buying into this stuff. I don't care if Donald Trump is a racist. I could care less. I know when my taxes go down and he closes that border, I have a better chance of building a business here legally. That's it. What do you think is going to happen when 20 million illegals get citizenship? You want to see how messed up a country is? Go into Mexico and see how bad it is over there. They're rich and they're poor or sleeping on the ground everywhere. You know what's starting to look like that? America. California, I see people next to my house, 3 people sleeping on the ground, over blankets just on the ground. Like, we live in Southern California. That's what's going to happen when those illegals, because now you're just going to have people everywhere. And it's going to turn into a mess. Get them out of here. And the dude that's going to get them out of here is our 47th president, Donald Trump. Like him or not, that's the dude that has Black people's interest at heart. If it was up to Joe Biden, it will get worse. And the dude is just like, he's asleep all the time.
And he already said it. He said it when he was president-elect. He told the misleadership of the Black community, he says, y'all better get used to it. Hispanics are coming here and you know, they're going to outnumber you. So y'all better figure out how to get along with them. That's what he said. Al Sharpton and all the, you know, the so-called Negro leaders, they sat up there and he was mad. He basically said, listen to me. Y'all better listen to me. Because I guess they called themselves kind of, you know, trying to be froggy and ask him something. He was this is what it is. And we've seen him deliver on that promise ever since this other thing to it. Again, I just like talking the facts, okay? Y'all do with it what you will. Title 42 was what came in when Trump was in office, and that was closing the borders, largely due to COVID and not letting people from other countries come over here and make it worse. Trump had the border closed. When Kamala and Joe came into office, they opened it, and that's why we have the immigration problem that we have now. Now, this is the trick bag that they try to sell the American people. Oh, well, Joe Biden, they want to close the borders, but the Republicans won't let them. It's like, but why don't you talk about that you opened them in the first place? The other thing they're not telling you is they say the Republicans won't let them close it, but closing the borders is tied to a bunch of other stuff. And that's how they do a lot of these bills. They'll tie a bunch of stuff to it, and one side or the other say, well, I don't agree with you giving $13 trillion to whatever. Then they'll come back and say, oh, well, the Republicans don't want the borders closed. It's like, now tell the whole truth. Along with closing those borders, you're attaching a whole bunch of other stuff they don't agree with, and you put it to one bill. So that's what happened. But the Democrats won't tell you that Joe and Kamala kicked the doors of the borders wide open. That is the truth. Trump had them closed.
And another thing too, one reason why I lean to the right is because it's the conservative party. If you look at family values on the right and the left, the family values are there. You're like, if you think about like family values and you just take everything off the table, which side is arguing more nuclear family? Parents and their kids being in the home. You like who? Like, just think about it. What side is going to be more family oriented? It ain't the left. Like, you telling me you want your daughter? Who was a girl that just ran the was it the track meet where the transgender beat the girl? I can't remember. Oh, I gotta
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know their name.
Who was? I think Terrell was telling me about this. I think I'm getting, maybe I have the story wrong. With the girl, it's like the Riley Gaines of swimming. With the girl, this track star, she is like, should be number one, but because this dude converted his sex, he's number one. So she spends her whole life practicing to win these competitions, and some dude, she's got to race against some dude. Riley Gaines, who's probably one of the best swimmers one of the better swimmers in the world, is racing Leah Thomas, a dude, and ties, and they give the dude the trophy. That is the left. That is your Democrat Party. Right now, I'm looking at my computer and my laptop, and I have a rainbow in the corner of both of my screens. Look at your computer and look all the way to the left. I mean, all the way to the right corner, and tell me what you see on your computer. It ain't just me. Here's the point I'm making. I don't have a problem. I have gay friends. I travel the world with 2 gay dudes, and it is hilarious. We cool. I talk to them. We're friends. I have a lot of gay friends. I do. But you know what they don't do to me? Is they don't put it in my face. Like, why is there a rainbow on my computer right now? How come I walk into an auto auction and there's 50,000 rainbows? Like, that is the left. And Juneteenth, oh, don't get me started on that shit. Lord have mercy. Negroes, are we really that stupid to take Juneteenth as a holiday so we got one more day that the government ain't open?
And that it's really a consumer holiday. They know we're going to go out there and spend more money because we ain't got the businesses like that really to support, recycling our dollars. So they know we're going to go to Walmart, Target, or whatever. They got the Juneteenth celebration cups, shirts, whatever the case is, and we're going to go spend more money on that kind of stuff. So actually the corporations win. But see, when we understand how holidays and businesses work, then we say, because Black people were already celebrating Juneteenth before it even became a holiday. We talked about it last week. They've been celebrating since 1866, a year after.
Mom used to talk about Juneteenth, but
she used to go and teach writing classes during the Juneteenth celebrations.
But yeah, don't make it a holiday. Give us the money. You know what I'm saying? Give us the cash. You want to fix slavery? You want Juneteenth? Give us the money. That would be my approach. So back to my earlier point, if you had, and say what you want about Donald Trump and he got the prostitute thing, but you tell me you're going to start beating up a politician for having a prostitute, good luck. Ain't nobody going to be in office. But I want to get back to the days where it was okay for a father to raise his kids and a woman to raise her kids. And it was okay to be a family. And I want to be okay that if my daughter is running in a track meet and some dude switches his sex and wants to come in the locker room with her and have his ding-a-ling swinging, then we could tie his ass up in the parking lot and do something to this dude. I want that world back.
Well, we really can't be talking like that.
I know we can't be talking, but I'm just making a point. And Ukraine, Jesus, you should watch TV from other countries. The one thing I love about traveling the world is you see the news from the other side of the world. Their news is different from ours. They bring out the real facts. They talk about Ukraine and all the stuff that's really going on.
And let me ask you, go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me ask you a couple of questions. Yeah, so Juneteenth is a Texas holiday, but there's been Juneteenth celebrations all over the country. Somebody asked, how do we feel about Africans coming over? I don't have a problem with anybody coming over here legally. But as Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, yeah, obviously we care about our African brothers and sisters, but Black Americans, we need to get ourselves together first, right? I'm
gonna cite the source. Actually, your guest next week. We just had this conversation. I think he said 2.5 million Africans have come to America. 2.5 million Africans. So if America's so bad, how come the Africans are moving over here? Do you know how many Africans I see on the street? I'm talking Africans. I had dinner. My her best friend, her husband is African. We had dinner. He got the accent, the whole thing. He came from Africa to America. The dude makes $350,000.
Yeah. And we can get
coming over here.
Yeah, we get that. That's really a longer conversation, but
It is.
They said, Demetria, where do you find this guy at traveling with gay men? Well, I don't know. Unbeknownst to y'all, some of you already know, Walter is my biological brother.
So my parents found her.
Right. He was already there before I got there. Yeah.
They found each other. And here, right. see this.
Wait, because let me, then I let you. Let me.
I do want to address this, but go ahead.
Yeah. You say traveling with gay men. See, that's the problem. I think and somebody else said it best earlier. We be too wrapped up into what other people are doing. As I always say, I don't care what straight people are doing. I don't want to see straight people kissing or doing nothing. I don't want to see nobody doing it. However, I know a lot of gay people as well, and they're like what you said, Walter. They do their thing, but they're not ramming it all up in your face. A lot of them, believe it or not, they also admit that there's an agenda that they don't agree with. They don't agree with teaching it in school, in the bathrooms. A lot of them don't agree with that. They do believe that there is an agenda. But like Walter said, especially on the left, that's what they are pushing. But I don't have a problem with gay people at all. In fact, I think gay people are some of the nicest people that I've ever met. And I know where this is coming from. Oh, they be touching kids and all this other stuff. If you read and understand, do look at data, you know that kids are more in danger with straight people than they are gay people. So I always say this, and Willie, I love you to death, but I'm going to say this. I always question people who protest too much about stuff, especially like that. What's on your mind, brother? Is it something you want to say to us? Like, why does that bother you? Why do you feel like your manhood would be in danger with being friends with somebody who was gay? I'm just asking.
Yeah, and I was just making the point. I don't care what you are, just do it, and do it in your own time. You know what I'm saying? I met them through my ex-girlfriend. They were her friends, and I was like, these dudes. I was like, these are some cool ass dudes. And you know what? As a financial planner, my best clients happen to be gay. I just gay people. They made better decisions. They got to the point faster. They didn't have all this crazy shit going on. So I looked at it from that way. I don't care if you're gay or straight. Just be about it, and you do you. I'm not saying, hey, I'm a heterosexual. Boom, here's my flag. Every time I turn, I can't walk into a Walmart. I want to use my Apple Card on my phone, and that turned different colors too.
Make sure we see the numbers.
No, ain't no numbers on my Apple Card, but I'm like, even my Apple Card turned into a pride thing.
I mean, and the other thing too is James Baldwin was homosexual.
Look at this. Without looking at the number, look at my Apple Card. It used to be white. I was like, it turned up like
James Baldwin was gay, but he also said it. But he never made that an issue, so it wasn't something that he was like, "Hey, I'm gay." But James Baldwin always made it clear that I'm a black man first. James Baldwin was one of the most staunch black activists ever walked planet Earth. He gave white people the blues. He let them know what it was, right? But he was gay. Do we discount him? Listen, the one thing I say about this, I'm not gay. I'm a very straight woman. I'm strictly, okay? I'm going to leave it at that. I think the problem that we have, and listen, I have my issues with a lot of the LGBTQ agenda. I do. But I think the problem that we have is we see their sins, okay? But we don't see everybody else's sins. See what I'm saying? And I don't even go to church, but I'm just speaking from that realm, if you will.
Yeah. So keep it.
We're going to get on out of here because, Walter, we're going to be here forever.
Yeah, no, we got to bring this up another time, but we need to really, I'm telling you, focus on the money.
And Judge, he could say that back then because it wasn't a secret. I think people were just more discreet. Now, I think obviously, it was, you kind of got looked at a little bit differently because there's all kind of people who were gay and lesbian. We know that now. But if you think about the times, even straight people weren't doing what we call talking up under your clothes, right? Sexy Reds was something that was in the backwoods in Georgia somewhere. She wasn't just out in the public square, and acting and talking like that. They were Sexy Reds, but those were like, nah, that's a nasty woman. She's going to be shunned and shamed. So people didn't ordinarily talk up under their clothes, regardless of what orientation they were from. Does that make any sense? So, yeah. But some of that is true. I would agree with you, Judge. I agree with you on that.
Sexy Red, come on, black people. That's our fault. Sexy Red. I watched Ice Spice for the first time. She popped up on my YouTube feed because I was trying to watch Coachella, And I was like, man, this, as a black woman, you should be offended. Like, come on now. Seriously, your best representation is Megan Thee Stallion, Sexy Red, and Ice Spice? Are you kidding me?
But again, they got handlers. They got puppet masters, and they do that, and they give those people to us as distraction. So I always said, I used to talk about Sexy Red, but then I thought about it one day. I said, Sexy Red is just being used.
Oh, she getting her money. I get it.
Yeah, she's being used.
She's an OnlyFans girl. She getting her money. I mean, she's doing what a lot of people probably would do, but damn.
And the one thing I would say too about the gay community is this guy named Jeffree Star, and he's flaming like he's really gay. But he says, I don't agree with all that, this agenda and all that. He says, you could call me he, because that's what I am or whatever. He says, that's the TikTok, generation that came up with they, oh, I'm a us, I'm a them. He said, it's silliness. And like I said, he's like a very gay man, but he's like, you are what you are. He said, people just be making up stuff. And then if we don't like the cis man, the cis woman and all this, he says, we men and we women. This is a gay man who was saying that. He's like, all this is just nonsense. It's just more just stuff people make up. And then it's stuff for people to be mad at if you don't go along with the stuff that they just made up. Like, now you wrong, So we got to be careful of like the narratives that we listen to. I do agree that there's an agenda. Please don't mistake me in that. I'm not saying that there's not an agenda, but I think that unfortunately, sometimes we blanket people who don't necessarily belong under that blanket, if that makes any sense. And I know I done spoke all over my head. Walter, what you got to say in closing?
Here's what I'm gonna say. Focus on the money. All this other stuff is a distraction. You need your money. Like, I listened to, some of the Trump rhetoric. We're talking about getting rid of some of these agencies. That, man, you want to open a business. It takes forever. Like, I'm the school of Andrew Tate. Like, start your business and get the paperwork later. I got 5 acres I'm trying to build on. Man, you dealing with the government? Trying to build on your own property is insane. On your own property.
Especially in California.
My God. So at the end of the day, focus on your money. One thing that I've really started to really focus on, because, the cancer thing that I was fighting. So one day I was sitting back, I was like, you know what the hell am I doing? And I told my girl this too. I said, fighting for all these things, I said, but at the end of the day, if I drove, because I had this little Mini Cooper convertible, I paid like $2,000 for it. I said, if I drove this convertible Mini Cooper and you had a little car that was safe, but it was cheap, and we moved to the land and put a little container home on it and got rid of all of our bills, told our creditors, kick rocks, come get this Range Rover, come get your car, and we just went to the bare basics, and we make 300 grand put together. Imagine what we could do with our life if we just cut all the dining out and all the other stuff. That is the conversation we're having right now. Is what does Walmart, Bank of America, what do they do when things get too much? They start cutting. They cut humans, they cut bills, they cut debts. I don't know how many companies, and I'm not telling you filed bankruptcy, I'm not saying that, but how many companies have filed bankruptcy to reorganize and start over again? Some of you guys are going to be forced to make some of these decisions. So start focusing on your money. You have to buy something. And my number one thing is get you a piece of land somewhere. Even if my girl Leslie, she's a friend of mine, has an RV, and she lives in this RV while she's put her whole house in Beverly Hills on Airbnb. I don't know what she gets from it, but she gets a lot. And she sleeps in an RV. And she driving this thing looking for a park spot. Like, seriously. I said to her, let me have one of your RVs so I can take it to Joshua Tree and I can park it on my property. And worst come to worst, I know I own a piece of property. I can live in an RV if the shit hit the fan. just knowing that in the back of my mind that I own property and that I could park an RV or put a little $36,000 home there and live there comfortably and work at Starbucks. Me and my girl could work serving coffee at Starbucks at $20 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Shit, that's $1,600 a week between the two of us. Now that I think, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I see what you're going with.
Chipotle. My daughter was telling me her friend got a job at Chick-fil-A, I think, is paying her $22 an hour. Do you realize that is upwards of $900 a week? Do not tell me if you and your spouse each made $900 a week. Almost $2,000 a week, so $100,000 that you couldn't live in 2 regular, normal cars paid off on a piece of property in a home that you were able to save up for in 3 or 4 years. You understand what I'm saying? And then you just drop the stress. That's where I think we should be focusing on. Because at the end of the day, stress and debt will kill you. It is the number one reason that people commit suicide, and it's the number one killer on Monday morning with heart attacks or stress from financial issues. And our situation is about to get worse. You watch. Man, Joe Biden gets in office, black people, we might as well get back on ships. What Joe Biden said, y'all gonna be back in chains. What he was saying is if I win, y'all niggas gonna be back in chains. I don't know how Joe Biden get away with that shit. You ain't black. Y'all gonna be back in chains.
Because we voting blue no matter who. So anyway, y'all.
That should be a hook on the record. Y'all gonna be back in chains.
You know what? You know all them people out there making records and stuff. Tell them to put it on wax.
Tell them they already in chains, Joe. Mentally, black people are slave. We still in chains, which is why we keep voting for y'all. That's my close.
Yes, indeed. So anyway, we love and appreciate y'all. DJ PD News, how you doing? It says Walter is right. So they agree with you. We love and appreciate every last one of y'all. We'll be back here. Or I say we, maybe me. I don't know if Donovan will be back here. But somebody will be back here with me on Sunday. You know what? Somebody did contact me about a very good topic. So I think maybe we'll do that. I'll wait to see for sure if we're going to do it before I say anything. Accurate Fire, how you doing? So anyway, we do have ways to donate to help the channel if you guys see fit to do so. But if not, please like, subscribe, and everything else in between. And for those of y'all who donate and do all that already, thank you so much for that. I could not do this channel without you. So in the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your evening. We'll see y'all later. Peace.